Alin Flore, going to talk about Havasu Falls Trail Web Mapping Project.
Hi, my name is Alin, and I want to thank you all for coming here tonight. Purpose of my project was to make a web map of the Havasu Trail. This trail is used as an access route to the Havasu Falls in the Supai Indian village. I wanted to make a detailed map, a detailed layout of the village and campgrounds with features other websites do not have. Arizona Geological Survey has some pretty good maps of this area, maps that they give to tourists when they get into town, into the village. These maps kind of serve like an inspiration for my project. However, I wanted to take things to the next level and make a web map that anyone with an internet access can use. Here's a quick overview of my presentation. First, I'm going to talk about the location in more detail, the data collection, data preparation, making the web map, publishing, and then the conclusion. So the Havasu Trail is located within the Havasupai Indian Reservation, Coconino County, Arizona. It's used by about 12,000 tourists a year as a route to the spectacular Havasu Falls. It's about 10 miles long from the trailhead to the campground and 2,400 feet elevation drop. Here's the overview map of the area of interest. You can see the Havasu Canyon is right here. It's about 40 miles away west from the Grand Canyon village. Supai is the capital of the Havasupai Indian Reservation, and it's the most remote community in continental US. It's about 8 miles away from the nearest road. It's only accessible via the Havasu Trail or helicopter. And the population, according to the 2010 census, was 208. Data comes from 3 different sources. The first one was the GPS coordinates that I collected on the trail myself. Second one was the Esri National Geographic base map. Third was the USGS digital elevation model. So the data collection, for that I used 2 GPS units. The first one was a Garmin GPS Map 60, and I used this one to make a track as I was walking. The unit was set to record points at 10-meter intervals. The second one was a Garmin Oregon 550T. I used this one to collect points of interest. This one was really useful because it has a camera and I could record all the coordinates for the pictures that I was taking. So data preparation. First step, I had to convert the GPS points into shapefiles using the DNR Garmin software. In ArcMap, I had to use high resolution images to make corrections because some parts of the trail are right in between high canyon walls, and the satellites it's nearly impossible for the satellites to pick up the signals from the GPS units. Usually, a minimum of 3 satellites are required to make accurate measurements. For the 4 satellites are required for the accurate elevation measurement. So since I didn't have an accurate elevation, I had to extract the elevation points from the DEM, and I did it using the extract points to values to points tool in ArcMap. So the DEM, I got it from the National Elevation Data Set, which is the primary elevation data product of the United States Geological Survey. It's been projected into 983 UTM Zone 12 North. This product had a 10-meter resolution. This is the map that I made in ArcMap. And the shapefiles I also projected into the 983 UTM Zone 12. I used the National Geographic base map. As we can see, the trail starts right here, goes through the Hualapai Canyon, and then which intersects with the Havasu Canyon right there, and then goes to the village and then campgrounds and all the waterfalls. Here's a map of the campgrounds, and it's got a pretty detailed view with ranger station, restrooms, drinking water. So we can see the campgrounds are right in between the Havasu Falls and the Mooney Falls, the two most well-known waterfalls in the area. Also, the highest Havasu Falls is about 100 feet high, and the Mooney Falls is 200 feet high. So making the web map, first thing I had to do is publish the data on the ArcGIS server, and then I use ArcGIS API for JavaScript. ArcGIS API for JavaScript is a lightweight way to embed a map into a web application. It supports tiled and dynamic services from ArcGIS Server 9.3 and later. The JavaScript was embedded into a HTML file. HTML is the main markup language for creating web pages. I also had to use the CSS to define the appearance and layout of the text, background styles, element alignments, borders, and sizes. So using the samples on the ArcGIS for Developers website, I made a pop-up for all points of interest. Pop-up that gives information on the coordinates and decimal degrees, gives information on the elevation from sea level in meters, and also an image of all points of interest. For this part, I had to embed an image into the pop-up, so I had to publish all images on a Google account and then copy the links into the attribute table. I also had to add a legend widget, and then using CSS, I placed the legend on the right side of the map. So publishing the web map, for that I had to buy a domain name from GoDaddy.com. I will have my map hosted on their server for about 1 year. Every year we have to go and renew the domain name pretty much. I will give a quick demo of the map. Seems it's working fine. Here's the trailhead on the parking lots. They're at the end of Indian Route 18. Then, like I said, the trail goes through the canyon until you get to the village. I have a few points of interest here: a lodge, a church. Oh, sorry.
Try getting out of
Yeah, the screen is kind of small. It's cutting off the image a little bit. So let me go back. The trailhead and the parking lot at the end of the route, in the route 1918. And then here's the village with a few points of interest, the lodge. There's a church there, a cafeteria, heliport. And then 2 miles away is the campground. Havasu Falls at the beginning of a campground. You can click on the image to get a bigger one. And then the Mooney Falls at the end. There's another smaller fall like 3 miles away, but we did not have time to go collect data for that since we did the whole project in 1 day. It's about right here. It's called Beaver Falls. We might do that in the future sometime. Also, there's an option to hike all the way to the river, where the Colorado River. So you can see as you zoom in the legend, more features appear as you're zoomed out. I have a few useful links here. First one is the official website of the Havasu tribe, and you can use that to make reservation. It's got all the contact info, phone numbers to call and make reservation either for lodging or for camping. Second one is this Havasu Falls Explorer, and this one has got a pretty good history of the village, the tribe. It's got information on the waterfalls, gives you directions how to get there. The last one is a National Geographic Expeditions website. You can also request a reservation here to go on a trip with the National Geographic team. So yeah, that was a quick demonstration. Let me get back to my slides. Conclusion, like I said, the purpose of this project was to make a web map of the Havasu Trail to help tourists better prepare their trips. The map was published online, is available to anyone with an internet access. Acknowledgements, special thanks to Chris, Director MSGIST, Peter Johnson, City of Tucson, and William Van Leeuwen, Arizona Remote Sensing Center. Questions?
How many people did you have collecting points? Was it like a group hike and everyone had a GPS?
It was 3 of us, but I had all the units. I didn't want to make anyone do my work. You have a question?
Yeah. Did you ever think about, I don't remember what they're called, kind of like a,
Coconina County?
it shows like the actual elevation like on a graph. I don't remember what it's called. Going your pop-ups, just so you kind of see the elevation of that pop-up.
Yeah.
That's fine. I've seen it done before. So
That?
you can see the profile, well, yeah, like a profile of the trail, I guess.
Okay.
Thought about doing something like that.
Yeah, there's a few things I can add to it. Just need the time. Anyone else?